tomorrow he's coming to visit me with his grandson. Okay, firstly we want to say our thanks to the Qatar Satellite Company for us piggybacking on their big satellite, and AMSAT DL, and the BATC for all their fantastic information. If it wasn't for them, then we would have been struggling in the dark. And then of course my personal hero, F5OEO, with all the magic that he does, Everest. Right, Owen, you've done tests. I hope your streaming is working, and I'll give it to you now. ZS1 SCI for the group from ZS1 Mike.
Hi, ZS1 Mike and the group. This is ZS1 SCI. Yes, I had to relay the stream to my YouTube channel, so in the WhatsApp group, it's not sending to the normal one, so sorry about that. Twitch is on, thanks Benno, I appreciate that. I hope the sound is working on my link. I haven't checked yet. Let me see. Yeah, it's working just fine. So I have a pretty hacky system here today. I fired up a second instance of OBS and changed all its settings so that now it uses the UDP network source from the Longmint to stream to YouTube. So yeah, much like the FF Play window in my software tunes to that address, this one does the same. For those following along, just to keep it interesting, this week I added some changes. I added a signal threshold bar. So, oh, I see Mr. QRM is back. So what that does is we can then visually see where we start getting the cut off, and then as we go up in a person, so you could even drop the gain a bit, that affects it as well. You can see that the signal tops, or the detected width, becomes less and less. So it just works by figuring out where the coordinates are there, and then takes the big span and then calculates it proportionally to derive the size of the channel. I see, yes, here we come. As you guys can see, this is the person, excuse me, doing QRM on the last day and a half. Any case, I have my opinions on that, but let us go. Oh goodness, I see I'm a bit bright. Let us go back. Let me see who is on the list. I've been adding some stuff to this, and yeah, just actually working on some home stuff. Who is next on the list? Do we have anybody next on the list? Let's see. Refreshing the list. Yes, G8KOE to take it from Zulu Sierra 1 Sierra Charlie India.
Right, well I think we've made it. Thank you, Owen. Made it? Yeah. Hopefully the sound's there. Thank you, Owen. See it there? I think it's a bit broken. Maybe it's not working as it should. Maybe it's my receive side. Don't know. Anyway, those I did put on the chat. It was my birthday. Let's get rid of that one. That won't work, will it? Let's go back to there and to Del camera filters and get rid of that and get back to normal. Right, now it was my birthday since we last had the net, and that was one of the cards that was sent. So that was all. That's what that was about. And one of the other ones was from my son, was and included a 1 hour free tech support, which I use quite a lot. And the New Year's resolution is to read Owen's instructions before asking him a question. So we'll try and do that. What I've been doing during the week, check. Oh yes, report from Owen. Yeah. Yeah, it does annoy me, especially when you said it was the first line when I asked the question. I try not to ask questions anymore. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, I've been playing with getting a controller going. Let's go over to the other side. It says it's not working out very well, which is this beastie, which I've had all sorts of problems with. Very simple, but I've had some help from Phil, so we're getting close to getting it right. Whilst playing with the Arduino, I suddenly noticed that the 5-volt regulator had gone amiss. So all the sort of settings and things and everything else and just weren't working out as I was sort of testing it in the garage and bringing it into the shack and such like. So I ordered a new one, Arduino, and then decided we'd attempt to so that we could do anything with the other one, which is what we're using at the moment. Let's go back to there, go back to them there, and if we stick that other way, and I'm standing in the way, but get rid of the camera. Need a camera operator really. That's what it is at the moment. And as you can see on the right hand side under the network cable, there is no input socket there anymore. I'm feeding some volts in from a external motor. I'm feeding the beastie, but I found that out in the cold garage workshop yesterday. I forget what time it was, so it's a bit of a bodge together, but it's actually in and is actually reading some things, which is good. So we've actually made some progress, but wouldn't have got there without the help of Phil, who explained how things should be set up, but we'll try and do better. Anyway, that's a long waffle from me, not doing very well. Fed up with blowing things up. As I said, blew up the main PA, someone on standby PA at the moment. So I've got to get to look at that and see whether I can fix it. I think that something on the input side has gone. It's still standing sort of current quite happily, but not giving any output. Anyway, I think it's due for IMO to take it next. I think if he can, isn't that what's said on the list? Hope there, Nick. So I'm not doing very well on the waffle here, and yeah, and to Ohan, I'm finding it very difficult to keep up with all your changes. I watched the chat and the speed at which things are going backwards, and my brain cell's going at sort of about 2 miles an hour. I don't know what speed yours goes at, but maybe at some stage I'll catch up eventually. Anyway, round to you there, Nick. Test card and yours from G8KOE.
Yeah, okay, okay, Martin. Just check my sound. Yeah, okay, okay, Martin. Just check my sound. Turn him off. Hang on a minute. Where's me mute? Wait a minute. I'll get there in a minute. Yeah, okay, Martin. Thanks for that. Go to my camera. Where are we? Here we go. Yeah, okay. Good afternoon to everybody. Nice to see you all on here. Oh, the sun's come out. That's good. It's been a miserable day here. very cold outside, so not very good. Yeah, and yeah, good afternoon to you, Ohan. Nice to see you on here. Excellent signal, and okay on your software there. Yes, that's way beyond me. I think I'm on the DATV Easy here. It's obviously very easy for me to use, so I shall stick with that for the moment anyway. Oh, yeah, Martin, congratulations on your 27,005 days. I haven't worked that out. I assume you're the same age as me. That will be 21. So excellent. Congratulations. Anyway, today, no, not today, all last week, I've been constructing outside in my workshop, but it's been very cold. So I've been making a QFH antenna for these weather satellites on 137 megahertz approximately. So I will now show you that. Hang on, I shall pick it up. Here it is. This is my, oh, it's so large, so big, I can't get it in the shop. But this is my my QFH antenna for 137 megahertz. So it's only got a very short lead on it at the moment because I'm intending to fit a small amplifier, a low noise amplifier in there. So I shall once it's on there, I'll push it up into inside the tube there. But anyway, I shall put this down on the grounds. So it's quite heavy. It's hang on, will it sit there? Yeah, it's one of the designs off the internet, but the original design used 8mm copper pipe, which I didn't have, but I did have some old 10mm pipe, so I've used that. But it was quite difficult to shape it, as you could imagine. I should have heated it up first to soften it, but anyway, I managed to shape it reasonably well. I haven't tried it out yet, so next week I've ordered some parts for the preamp. They haven't arrived yet, so I'll be making the preamp next week. But nowhere have I seen where it says what the impedance is, whether it's 50 ohm or 75 ohm. But if I'm going to feed it into a preamp, it probably won't matter. But I shall stick it on my VNA next week and see what it shows up on there. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. Oh, the other thing, I've treated myself for Christmas. If I can find it, where's my camera? I bought one of these. Everybody in the UK, apart from me, seems to have one of these. So I thought I would treat myself. It's the Quashang UVKV version 8, that is. That was advertised on one of the auction sites. It's amazing they can make that for £12, and it was shipped all the way to the UK free of charge. So it only cost £12. Unbelievable. And the only other thing to report is, I'm going to try and show you this. This is where it all goes. Hopefully this is going to work. Oh dear, hang on a minute. Not doing very well here. Hang on. The other thing that I received a EQSL card from the SAQ. That was the Christmas Eve transmission on 17.2 kilohertz. So that was rather nice to have. Right, I think that's about it from me. So go back to my camera. So I'll pass it round to Ed in Brazil. Round to you, Ed. PY2RN G4IMO.
Hi guys, I'm not Ed, but it's me that's next. I'm sure Ed was on the list, but he never removed himself. But the list that I'm looking at, he's not on and he didn't come up, so I jumped in. Happy New Year to everybody. I wasn't here last week, and a very simple reason why I wasn't here. It was New Year's Eve, and New Year's Eve happens to be my birthday. It was a good, certainly good evening up at the local bowls club. Had live entertainment. A few glasses of wine was consumed. It took me about 2 days to recover. That's what happens when you get old. When you're young, you can go in a few hours. But anyhow, enough of that. Right, now, what have I been doing? I've been helping Martin, as you know, with his Arduino, so that's fine. Okay, I've been helping Martin. And that was quite interesting because I was chatting to Martin. Thanks, Martin. Right, yeah, where was I? Oh, yeah, I was chatting to Martin over the satellite, as quite often do these days. But my picture was freezing and then it was catching up. Sound wasn't too bad, but the video was intermittently freezing and then catching up. It didn't sort of pixelate, it just stopped and then sort of catched up again. Anyhow, I went to the obvious, which is on my PA, which is all outside, thought some water got in, etc. Everything looked okay. And then I sat and I thought about it, and I thought, well, if it was RF, the data would be lost, so it couldn't catch up. And as it was catching up, it wasn't lost, it was catching up. Well, the only place that could happen would either be in OBS, FFmpeg, or the network switch. And I could see no errors and no explanation for it within FFmpeg or OBS. So I thought, oh, I wonder if it's anything to do with the network. Well, anyhow, I grovelled under the desk, found my transmit network cable, and me being lazy, I hadn't replaced the RJ45 connector because the retaining clip had broken off and it was half hanging out. So anyhow, so later on in the day, well, I pushed it in and everything worked after that. But later on in the day, I replaced the RJ45 and I thought, well, I better check the other end, and the other end was also broken, so I replaced that. So I thought, well, I better have a look at the other cables. And sure enough, I found another one. So I ended up replacing 3 RJ45 connectors. Those type of problems seem to have gone away. So I've learnt my lesson. Replace network connectors when the little lug comes off. So that was that. And the other thing, while I was doing this with Martin, this Arduino stuff, and he's got same as I have, an Ethernet shield on it. He showed me a link relating to a couple of, or it's not a couple of resistors. There's a block of 4 surface mount resistors. Right, in the circuit diagram, say that they're 50 ohms. And on the board, on his board, they are showing up as 510 ohms. And it can cause network problems. So I had a look at my board, and sure enough, mine are 510 ohms instead of 50 or 51. And then I realised that when I wrote my code, which was probably a couple of years ago, and I was trying it out, I had a lot of confusion going on relating to network connectivity, because it seemed to be very unreliable, and the only way I could ever get it to work was, once it was connected onto the network, was to reset the Arduino, and only then would it start to work. But I had massive problems, and I took it outside and stuff like that. Sometimes it would work and then it wouldn't work, and then eventually it all settled down. And I'm pretty certain all that was due to these wrong resistors that are on there. I now realise that it seems to work fine on a short network cable, but if you run a longer network cable, you can start to have problems. And yeah, so that was me having problems without realising that the actual termination on the shield was actually incorrect. But I did look at replacing them, but to be quite honest, it's a bit fiddly. There's a RJ45 connector right next to it, and it's sort of in the way. So I thought, well, it's not causing me any problems now, so I'll just leave it as it is. But remember that it can have issues if you use it on a long Ethernet cable. But anyhow, that's enough of me, my waffling. I'm going to hand it over. Who's next on the list? Well, on the list that I'm looking at, it says that it's Mike. So I'm going to put up the test guard, kill my carrier, and then hopefully Mike will take over. PCB. End of it, and as you can see, I've used surface map. Standard camera stroke displays with the Raspberry Pi 5. In between those cables and the Raspberry Pi is a USB camera. It's sort of like an endoscope, and this is for looking around inside components or in places that it's harder to get to. It was very cheap. It was only about £2 or £3, so I thought I'd buy one of those. Because I've had the need to have one before, either when I've had a blocked pipe in the plumbing sort of area, or when I've wanted to actually feed something in to a piece of equipment without having to take it apart to see what's going on. And it's got its own lights built into it. So that's one. And to the far left is the one that the USB power supply that Gary recommended. I've had it for a while. I've just not got around to testing it. I have now tested it, and it's quite good, up to 3 gigahertz. It's within about a dB or so. But the software is rubbish. But it seems to output a stream of voltages or currents, because it calls them A, on the serial port, the virtual COM port. So it seems to me, though, Ben, that with Node Red, for example, if you haven't done it already, you could read that and use it as a power meter for measuring output power, say on QO-100 with a directional coupler. And then the other thing that arrived were a pair of circlip pliers that seemed very good for about the £2 they cost. So that's the update from my side. Not much else to say. I'm just going to look at the chat and see if there's anything there. No, don't see anything there, but thank you, Adam. So with that, I'll pass it back, and I think it goes back to Leon, unless, of course, Ed is there. I thought I saw Ed was there. He came up in the chat, but maybe he's not on the list. So it's probably Leon next, but perhaps leave a pause, Leon. So with that, Happy New Year to everybody. This is the first time, and catch you later down the transponder G0MJW.
No, Ed's definitely not there anymore. He was definitely on the list. I saw him there. Yeah, pity. I have a question for him. Okay, right. Okay, comments. One, I didn't take any notes of what you said, apart from your struggle with getting the streaming going, but I see Gary gave feedback and said that the streaming is working fine, which is very good. Sorry, I didn't read the list on the opening score, but anyway, it's not so long. Martin, yeah, your noise gate was on and it was really messing you around. It was chopping your words and all sorts of things. But anyway, very happy birthday to you. Nick, I didn't make any notes there. Ed's not there. Phil, yeah, happy birthday to you as well. But Phil, I've noticed it before, and I don't think I ever commented on it. You have a very strange noise on your audio. It's like having a speaker looking upwards with a little bit of sand on it. And it goes bzz, 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 bzz. When you're speaking softly. When you speak louder, your voice overrides that noise. It's still there because my ear's tuned to it now, so I can hear it. But when your audio is soft, it's very prominent. Obviously, lots of people will disagree with me, but I don't hear it on any other signal. It's only on yours. So you've got very fancy audio equipment there and a nice big microphone and everything, but somewhere something is misbehaving. So perhaps, I don't know if you'll be able to. If you have earphones on, you must definitely hear it off air with a mini tuner or something. You should be able to hear it, because I can hear it here very, very prominently. It's not quite like something that's not biased class A. It's not breaking up, but it's got that sandy bzz, 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 floating on your voice. Anyway, okay. And Mike, yeah, all nice, nice goodings that you've got there. I've often seen those circular pliers, and I've never bought myself one because I have several single nose ones, you know, bent one and a straight one and so on. But yeah, I have seen those ones with the separate teeth, can you say? Okay, what have I been doing? A bit of this and a bit of that, and I built. It's still on the breadboard, but it actually works quite well. That's what I wanted to talk to Ed about. But actually, I think it was Benno who had one of those tiny little microphones with the extended frequency response into the ultrasonic range. I built one of these goeters that amplifies the signal and then converts it down and comes out on a speaker, and you can listen to ultrasonic noises, and it's very, very interesting. I was walking, it's still on the breadboard. I must still make a PC board for it. At night, if you walk around, you hear all sorts of funny insects that you can't hear with your ear because their frequencies are too high. But you can hear them very clearly with this device. And just doing this with my fingers, it's like thunder. You know, as this very high frequency and a bunch of keys. If you hold all the other keys and just have one and you shake it, it works for like 10 meters. It'll pick it up and convert it to a much lower tone. It's adjustable. I've made it tunable. You can tune it from about 20 kcs up to about 100 kcs, the local oscillator. So yeah, I just use 2 op amps and then any 602 as the mixer. It does have an onboard oscillator, but I thought it'll be quicker to just have a 555 there next to it and feed it into it for the local oscillator. Made that adjustable with a 100k multi-turn pot, and then off to an audio amp RM386, and it really works well. But I would like to, so I went through all my electret condenser microphones, and I've got a whole drawer full of them. But I found that a very tiny one, I've got tiny ones, they're about maybe a millimeter thick and say 5 millimeters in diameter. And I used a piezoelectric tweeter and the function generator to see how far those mics will work. And they do go quite high up. But I think the one that I think it was not Ed, I think it was Benno who was demonstrating this thing on a SDR thing. I'd like to order some of those, because that'll be even better. So that's what I've been playing with during the week. It's pointless testing it during the day. All the bugs and things are pretty quiet, but at night you hear all these funny things. Okay, Juan, over to you. ZS1 SCI for the group from ZS1 Mike.
Seems like a nice microphone. ZS1 SCIs. Thank you, ZS1 Mike Leon, and the group. That is a nice microphone that you can hear additional frequencies. I just want to see if my YouTube is not. Yes, YouTube is still going good. All right. Feedback, Nick. I'm curious to know which NOAA satellites are still live. Last time I was working with NOAA satellites and QFH antennas, I myself built a 10mm copper pipe one. I had to cut out a half circle of thick cardboard and then you take the tube and you bend it in a half circle, and that allows you to plug it in at the bottom and stretch it. So yeah, I remember building that. Regardless, I'm curious to know which NOAA satellites are still operational. I think 18 is still okay, last I checked. And then secondly, Martin, there's no need to try and keep up. This is a toolbox of DATV related stuff. You're welcome to open the toolbox and use it to your needs. You might find new tools in the box every now and then, but yeah, the intent is that the toolbox is there so that you can play with it. What was the other thing? Mike, that does look like an interesting little mini computer system you showed there. With DATV or with Node-RED, anything can be put in place. Then what was something else I wanted to share? Yes, VVC H266, the successor to 265. FFmpeg in the past few days have gotten a native decoder for it, so no longer required the fun hover libvdec. It actually has a native one built in now, and apparently, according to the guys on the forum, it's much faster and less resource intensive, which is really cool because I've tested it extensively this past week, and subjectively it does look a lot better at 500 kilosamples per second. I've updated the node DATV Red FFmpeg with the latest version of the library. I'm also going to test the new native decoder and see how I can incorporate that, because it would be nice to have less load on your CPU when you're decoding it, because currently if I'm decoding and encoding 266 on my computer, it's a 12 core 5900X AMD Ryzen. It's at 80% usage, which is insane. But if you could cut down the decoder, because that takes up an additional, like, I've already fine-tuned it quite a bit, but yeah, if you can get that in place, that would be great. And then yeah, incorporate, yes, as Adam, I don't have control of the firmware. I'm merely the builder of the GUI that drives the firmware, so as soon as Everest and them put support for DVB-T, then it would just be a drop down in the menu from my side. And then I was going to, I'm currently more in a focus of building or automating all the build cycles of FFmpeg and all the other software that DATV Red uses, which isn't driven by MQTT and the Pluto, so FFmpeg, Longwind. Longwind has already been automated to build it automatically on GitHub, so you can just download the binary file for your Raspberry Pi and run the command with the Pluto plugged in. It'll connect to the Pluto broker if you follow the README on the repo. Similarly, I want to do the same for like FFmpeg and stuff, so like make like a slim build for all the used codecs like 265, 264, AV1, and I don't think VVC is going to work on a Raspberry Pi, so I wouldn't even bother. But essentially, like ALSA and all the audio codecs, like a light build that you can automatically build without the requirement of having to. So you can click a button online and it produces a new file. Anyway, I'm talking a lot. Next in the list is Martin. As far as I know, ZS G8KOE. This is ZS1SCI. Over to you and for the group.
Right, well, we've got no sound gate on at all, etc. So might be a lot of noise. Sound. So we'll see. Apologies. I've been playing with. Yeah, fine on being able to download at the moment I've got the Longmin plugged in or got connected via the network side of things, but I'll look around, see what I can keep up. It's even the simplest of things take me a fair bit of time. I saw Everest was after SSHing into a Pluto. Now, I didn't know how I could give him access to SSH into my Pluto because he wanted a Pluto B. I was quite happy for him to access into it, but I kept away from that because I didn't know how to do it. Anyway, that was not long after that my PA died, so it was probably better that way. Right, I haven't got a lot more to add. Good to see everybody. Happy New Year to everybody. I had to stop and give the other cat, the cat we've got remaining. She's behind me asleep. I had to rub her tummy. She seems to like a lot of attention at the moment. Right, and Phil, thanks Phil for all the bits and pieces. Well, it made a difference to my network card, which wouldn't work from the garage. It worked okay on the bench, but as soon as I did the mods that were suggested, which if I can find the sheet, was adding a couple of resistors on the back. It says, I'm sure it's in here somewhere. When you're trying to look for things, it's never easy. It's like I think our hen was looking for a picture earlier. Help. I think it's in the help. Is that the right one? Yes. So if we go to the screen, main screen. That was the markings they said on the network card. And that was the mods that he did there, which was 2 resistors, 120 ohms. But since then, also someone else has done a slightly P1AVP. He's done that to cure the problem that he was having with the network side of things. So they seem to fix the problem. Anyway, I digress. Let's get rid of that. Let's have a look at the list and see who it is next. I should know. Oh, it's Nick again, isn't it? And good. Yes, you've done wonders on that aerial. The construction looks superb. Anyway, yes, you don't want the mic. It's best to keep away from them. I wish I didn't have all those days, but they keep creeping up on me. Okay, I'll read that link that Mike's put up in a minute. G4 IMO to take it. Test card and yours from G8KOE.
Yeah, okay, Martin. Yeah, okay, Martin. Mute my sound there. Yeah, okay, Martin. Has it gone? No, it hasn't gone. Goodness me. Has it gone? It hasn't gone. Goodness me. What's wrong with this thing? come on. I pressed the mute on the remote and it didn't. Well, it did mute and then it unmuted again. So on my ride receiver, sorry about that. Yeah, okay. Excuse me. As far as I've received NOAA 17 and 18 here. There is a NOAA 15 that is still up there in orbit, but as far as I know, it's not sending any signals. And I see somebody on the chat, Wolfgang, said there's a NOAA 19. I haven't looked for that one. So, but they're all relatively low resolution. There's a Russian higher resolution one called Meteor 2-3, I think they call it, on there as well. So, but anyway, but I believe I read somewhere, or somebody said our friend G7JTT, who comes up on the net sometimes, I believe he said the NOAA satellites, I think they're going to switch those off fairly soon. I believe it's October 2024. So we'll see. Anyway, that's that. It's okay on your little ultrasonic experiments, Leon. I made an ultrasonic receiver many years ago. Have you tried? I used the little transducers out of the TV ultrasonic remotes. So I think they work on about 60 kilohertz, don't they? That's what I used anyway, and that was quite an interesting experiment I was doing. So I wonder if you tried those. Anyway, what else was there? I think that's about it. Okay, Phil, on your problems with your RJ45 connectors. And I think I've commented on it. So I'm going to make this my final. I'm going to go and have some lunch with the XYL. It's coming up to 3 o'clock. So I'll say cheerio to everybody, and see you all next time. And Happy New Year from G4IMO.
Right. Leon, my sound. I changed something. Comments if it is better or worse. I'm not going to say what I've changed, but I'm just wondering if I have network problems again. Anyhow, I shall carry on and keep my eye on the chat. But is anybody else seeing problems with my TX? Or is it just my RX? But anyhow, I shall carry on until I see something on the chat. Ohan, JTV Red, absolutely fantastic work you're doing. But it's something that you might want to consider for myself, and I believe Leon is in the same boat, that we use separate PCs for TX. Diagram shows it as, if my memory serves me correct, 50 plus 50. There's 4 of these resistors there, and one will be for TX, the other will be for, or the other, one pair will be for TX and the other pair for RX. Termination on UDP is 110 ohms. It's definitely wrong, and yeah, if you're running long Ethernet cables, it's going to have an effect. But mine on a short cable works absolutely fine. Anyhow, I'm going to hand it over to Mike, but I'll be very interested, Mike, if you're seeing my transmission breaking up. Anyhow, I'm going to put up a test card, and then Phil, thanks everyone. To use a switch for other things than one cable, rather than run several, so the wind hills down there now and the power monitor and other things. But it could be something to do with that. Your audio and video was fine, by the way, Phil. Martin's was interesting because it was well, if you can turn up, do so. G0MJW.
Still no Ed. It's a pity. I always like his cartoons. Okay, G0MJW in the group. This is LS1 Mike returning. Okay, my apologies, Nick. I forgot to comment on your quadrifilar helix antenna that you've made. Very, very neat job there. Many years ago, when we still used to build the digital frame stores, that was before PCs, to receive and to display the weather satellites. I built another. It was a cross dipole with a reflector, crossed reflector, a 90-degree phase to make it circular as well for receiving. And I had that on the ship, the SA Agulhas, when I went down to the Antarctic, because the captain wanted to see whether he can see the cracks in the ice with the satellite system, and it actually worked quite well. so that in the end they also acquired a system which they used for that. Yes, my experience. Well, that's many years ago. This is now 35, nearly 40 years ago. The Meteor satellites were far superior. They did not have infrared like the NOAAs, but the video resolution was much better. This was, I don't know whether they were using longer lenses or they were slightly lower in altitude. I don't know, but the picture was very good if there was enough light. Anyway, I still have my equipment. I don't have an antenna anymore, but I still have 2 frame stores and the receiver that I've built, which is a scanning receiver. I made it scanning. It's crystal controlled, but I had crystals for all the popular satellites, and it would scan that and stop if there was a carrier, and then yeah, the frame store would carry on and make the picture. Nowadays with PCs, of course, it's much easier. Okay, right. One, yeah, you've got another request there from Phil. Phil, your sandy noise is gone. Whatever you've done, it's perfect now. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, no other comments. Yeah, that's it. So I shall then close the net for now. We're just about an hour now, and I'm also rather thin. I think I'm also gonna have some lunch now. So this is ZS1 Mike. Then closing the net officially for now, and leaving the channel open for whoever wants to carry on from ZS1 Mike.
ZS1 Mike, this is Zulu Sierra 1 Sierra Charlie India. Just saying goodbye and thank you for a nice net. I'm going to stop the YouTube stream now. Everybody must have a nice day. Adam, I will release the next version of DATV Red when the testers give the green light, whenever that is. Have a nice day, everyone.